Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to a fresh new year. Welcome to a fresh new live tutorial, a crochet along here at the Jayda InStitches show. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you all so much for joining. I hope you all had a lovely holiday, or at least enjoyed some time off to kind of collect yourself, maybe spend a little time on your health and your well-being. That's what I tried to do. And you know what? It's perfectly all right. If you don't have the great big booming quote unquote successful holiday that we have all been programmed to think we're supposed to have, I would count a success as getting to the end of the year and starting the new year not so sick that you can barely function. So if you're here, welcome, welcome. I hope you're in a good mood, and if not, I'm going to put you in a good mood. I want to make a panda bag. So we have a pattern, written pattern for our Panda drawstring bag available in our Etsy shop. It's been there for a little while, but we haven't done a tutorial, so we thought it might be fun to do that today. We did put it to a vote to the family. I had a few options, and Animal Drawstring Bag won the poll, so thank you very much, family members, for voting. And we're going to do this panda, but I'm in a magical kind of mood, so instead of doing a black and white panda, I'm going to do a pink and white panda. I want my panda to have a distinctly fantastical feel to it. So I will be using this lovely bright pink and white. So instead of the black spots on a panda, they're going to be pink, and all the white spots are going to be white. I have I've got more than enough here, but if you're sort of sifting through your scrap yarns, you want around 50 yards, just to be safe, of both colors. I'm using a 4.5mm hook, also known as a 7, but you can use a 4.25mm hook, which is sometimes known as a G6, entirely up to you. You can use size 4 medium weight acrylic yarn like I'm using, but technically it's a little sack, so the fiber doesn't matter so much. And you can use size 4 medium yarn for this project, or size 5 chunky bulky yarn. Either one is fine. If you use the bulky yarn, it'll be just a little bit bigger. And if you use the size 4 yarn, it'll be roughly the same size that mine comes out to. Just a little sack, perfect for, treats and gifts and stuff like that. You're going to want a pair of scissors and a yarn needle. You're going to want some beads or safety eyes or flat topped buttons like I've got here. These are flat topped buttons. You need 2 for the eyes. There's going to be like an eye patch and then the little eye, but you can use safety eyes if you want. If you're going to use buttons or beads, you need a pair, or you should have a needle and thread to stitch them on. And it's a cinched drawstring bag, so you're going to want some ribbon. And I just found this delectable, bright, cheerful, hot pink ribbon with lime green polka dots in my stash, and that just said magical panda to me. So that's what I'm going to be using. Once you've got all that together, we can leap into today's live crochet along. Jessica Rabbit in the chat, member for 49 months. Thank you, Ms. Rabbit, with a membership milestone, says happy Monday and happy first Jayda day of the year. Thank you. I'm glad you guys are here. I think this is going to be a fun little stitch along. So let's get started. I'm going to put all of my sewing and ribbon stuff to the side for now. I also don't need to have my scissors or needle nearby. I'm going to start with my pink yarn. So if you're making it a traditional panda, black and white, this is going to be the black that you want to start with. We move to white a little later on. So your dark panda color is the color you start with. I'm using pink instead of black because, like I said, this is a magical panda. We're going to begin with a cinch circle. So you cross your yarn to make a little fish shape. Hook goes through that circle. You grab your yarn and you just chain 1. That secures it. Make sure you work the first few stitches of row 1, or all of the stitches of row 1 over top of that short tail. Here we go. 8 single crochet into the circle, working over top of that short tail. 8 single crochet. You might also want a stitch marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because we're going to be working in the round. So let me just grab a stitch marker. Let's see here. pink or purple? It's kind of red. I think I'll go with that one. I'm on theme today. Alrighty. So you want 8 single crochet into that cinch circle. Grab the short tail, cinch it up nice and tight. We are not joining our rows with a slip stitch. We are working in the round. So the first stitch of every row is worked directly into what was the first stitch of the row before, which is why I say having your stitch marker handy might be helpful to just keep track of where that stitch is. Row 2, we're going to work 2 single crochet into each stitch. So I like to put both those 2 stitches into the first stitch. That's number 1 and number 2 of the row. I mark stitch number 1 with the stitch marker, and then I just have to focus on the increase pattern, which is 2 single crochet in each stitch, and I don't have to worry about counting because my stitch marker keeps track of where the beginning of the row is for me. We've got a bunch of people in the chat saying Happy New Year, and a Happy New Year indeed. I really hope this year is helpful and happy and healthy and prosperous for all of us. I think we deserve it. I have a nice sip of water here, nice fresh clean water. I've had my coffee for the day. I'm not having any more. That's row 2. At the end of row 2 we'll have 16 stitches total because we worked 2 single crochet into each stitch from row 1. I'm back at my stitch marker. That means that it's time to start a new row. So for row 3 we are going to work 2 single crochet into the first stitch of the row, and just like the last time I'm going to mark the first stitch, and 1 single crochet into the stitch after that, and that is the new increase pattern. 2 single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet once into the stitch after that, so 2 and then 1 and then 2 and then 1. You're going to do that 8 times total, and you'll add another 8 stitches into your stitch count. So at the end of row 3 we'll be up to 24 stitches. And like I said in our New Year's welcome video on Friday, life is not a race. Move at your own pace. Once today's video is finished, I will be going back and adding chapters, so if you need to see the individual rows or specific pieces of the pattern, you'll be able to zip through today's live tutorial and find those chapters. I do try to add chapters to all of our live tutorials just because it's a longer format, and you know, you might want to just be able to find the place that you had to leave or you left off with. I find chapters make it a little easier, and that way you don't feel like you have to keep up. Some of us crochet a lot faster than me, and some of us crochet a little slower than me, and that's perfectly fine because crochet isn't a race either. At the end of row 3, you should have 24 stitches. We're going to start row 4. We're still increasing. We're going to begin with 2 single crochet in that first stitch. Mark the first of those 2 stitches. Single crochet once into each of the next 2 stitches, and then we repeat. 2 single crochet in the next stitch. Single crochet once in each of the next 2 stitches, and you're going to repeat that 8 times total. You'll add another 8 stitches to the entire stitch count, and we'll be up to 32 stitches at the end of row 4. Hello, Bethany. Bethany's in the chat. Bethany's been a member for 82 months. My goodness, thank you so much, Bethany. Bethany, with a membership milestone, says, good morning. Working on some Valentine cup cozies while the girls are watching Bluey. I kind of want to make them a Bluey toy or blanket. We will have to see. Been distracted playing Minecraft, LOL. Yes, I was quite happily distracted over the break playing video games myself. They are a lovely way to distract yourself. I'm just making sure that I haven't missed anything here. This is also, since I'm using pink, and you can use whatever colors you want to make your panda bag, but I did have kind of in the back of my head that this might be kind of a cute Valentine's panda, just because I'm using pink as opposed to black for my panda. I really do like the idea of it being kind of magical and cartoony, but in a super cute way. So, but you know, if you're thinking about Valentine's Day, we're kind of far out. It will be here in a month or so, I suppose. But if you're sort of thinking about things you want to do for Valentine's Day, then something kind of unique would be a pink or a purple or a bright red little panda bag like I'm making today. That's the end of row 4. That is 32 stitches all the way around. We are going to continue increasing now for row 5. Out comes a stitch marker, 2 single crochet to begin the row in the first stitch. Marker goes back on the first of those 2, and now we single crochet once into each of the next 3 stitches. And the pattern, you're going to repeat it 8 times in total, 2 single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet once into each of the next 3 stitches. That will add another 8 stitches to your stitch count altogether, and you'll be up to 40 stitches at the end of row 5. Ronald and Kathy Jones in the house. Hello, cousins! Ronald and Kathy Jones have been members for 54 months. Thank you so much. And with a membership milestone, they say, Happy New Year, Jayda, Mr. InStitches, and Penelope InStitches. We love you, cousins, Kathy and Ron. Thank you so much. Yes, Mr. InStitches and little Penny InStitches are chilling on the couch. Penny is gradually getting the idea that on, Mondays, Mama has to go into her craft room and be very busy. And she talks to herself, apparently. She doesn't understand who I'm talking to, but at least it's not another dog. So she's getting used to that. And I'm coming up on my last repeater, 2 single crochet in the next stitch, followed by a single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So that is row 5 altogether. You'll be up to 40 stitches. And I'm going to take a little sip of my Carmen asks, Jayda, could you show us how to make a sweater scarf? A sweater scarf. You'll have to give me a little bit of information on what you would define a sweater scarf as. That conjures up a whole bunch of interesting images in my head. Carmen, how would you describe a sweater scarf? And while Carmen's thinking about that and composing a little message, I'm going to skip ahead to row 6. We're going to start with 2 single crochet in the first stitch. This is our last row of increasing, followed by a single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. So 2 single crochet to begin the set in the first stitch, single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. At the end of row 6, we'll be up to 48 stitches, and this is our last row of increasing. Hello, hello, if you're just joining us, we are making a little panda drawstring bag today, but I'm in a magical mood, so my panda is going to be pink and white as opposed to black and white. The written pattern is available in our Etsy shop, and if you click on the link in the pinned description above, you should be able to head over there and see it right away. Oh my goodness, that reminds me. I should probably put it on sneaky sale. Let me do that right now. I'm going to go over here. I can't believe today is the 12th already of January. We are almost halfway through the month, and I am delighted about that. Not a fan of January, February, or March, really. So being halfway through the month is just peachy. Almost halfway through, not completely just yet, but there we go. Okay. The Panda drawstring bag pattern in our Etsy shop, now on sneaky sale. If you're here at the show, you're in the know. Hello, Summer. Summer made it through the holidays. Summer's been a member for 80 months. Thank you so much, Summer. With a membership milestone, Summer says, hey, I'm actually here for once. Hope all is well. Things are better now that you guys are all coming back to hang out here on Mondays. Thank you so much. It was 2025 was kind of a wild year, it feels like. So I'm really glad that we've all managed to make it through, more or less in one piece. Here's to a better year ahead. And we're already over a week in, so pat yourselves on the back. First week of the year is down. All right, I'm just finishing off the last increase set of row 6. 2 single crochet in the first stitch of the set, followed by a single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. That brings our stitch count up to 48. And now we're going to do a little single crochet around the post work. This isn't difficult, but if it kind of makes you, roll your eyes, you can skip it and just work a straight row of single crochet. I do like working around the post though, because it gives the sack a little flat bottom to sit on, which makes it look a lot cuter when it's sitting on the shelf. It just gives it a little bit of structure. It's almost like making it into a little basket. So really simple. We're going to single crochet around the outside of the post, and you do that by inserting your hook instead of through the stitch like you normally would. You kind of come from the back, bring it towards you to the front, and then through the next stitch, front to back. And there you go. There's the post. Single crochet normally around it. And I think I may have overshot one. So I'm going to come through. So the stitch that I just worked into, I'm going to actually use that one first. So from back to front, front to back, that'll pop the post of the next stitch up on my hook. So that's what I want to do. And I'm going to single crochet. I'm going to mark that stitch because sometimes coming back all the way around, it's difficult to see where that first post stitch is. Just like if you were working a regular row of single crochet, you come all the way back around, you can't necessarily tell where your first stitch is. So I'm going to put a stitch marker on that stitch, and now same thing, the stitch I just came out of, I'm going to start with that stitch, back to front, front to back, there's the post, and single crochet. And if you get lost, you just pull it a little bit. You see that it pulls up on the stitch you just used. That's where you start. From back to front, and then from front to back, and single crochet. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you do, it's really not that difficult. Just slow down if you have to and take your time. What it's doing is it's taking the top edge of the stitch, pushing it forward, and it's going to give us a nice flat base for the rest of our little sack to sit on, which, because it's a little character sack, gives it a little bit more form and structure. And when it's sitting on the shelf, or it's sitting kind of like wherever you want to have it placed, it sits up a little bit better. It doesn't sort of sag or flop down. And that's so if you've got, whatever you've got in it, it doesn't have to be completely stuffed full for it to sit up and look like it's got a little bit of structure. So that's why I like to do this. It's a nice little design addition. But like I said, if this kind of makes you roll your eyes, or you think, oh, I don't want to bother with that, that's okay. Just do a regular row of single crochet, no increasing. That'll be your row 7. We're all still going to have 48 stitches at the end of this row. Carmen asks, is there a way to send a picture here? No, but you can send a picture to the Etsy shop. A scarf with sleeves. You wrap it around yourself. A scarf with sleeves. Joanna's in there. Thank you so much. Yes, you can send it to the Etsy shop. If you click on the link above, you just click on a message or contact seller, and you can attach a photo. That way I can get a look at it a little bit later. Yeah, thank you for trying to describe it to me. A scarf with sleeves. I'm still trying to picture this. Like a shrug? Like it's just kind of like sleeves as opposed to or does it also wrap around your neck? Yes, I definitely want to see a photo because I'm having trouble picturing this. Cousins in the house, Ronald and Kathy, with a extremely sweet and generous super chat. Thank you so much. Many more happy and healthy wishes for our wonderful crochet community. I agree. Jayda, we love you. Thank you. The Mr. InStitches, and a hug to Penny InStitches. We really did miss you over the holidays, Sophia. Aww. Pandas! Sophia loves pandas, Kathy and Ronald. Oh, that's perfect. Well, then you can make one for Sophia. And I'm trying to think. Let's see. What color would be sort of... this is why I love this little pattern. I'm picturing a bunch of these little panda bags in a rainbow of colors. So one that's red and white, one that's orange and white, one that's yellow and white, one that's green and white, blue and white, purple and white. That's what Jessica Rabbit's making. She's making a purple and white one. I just know it. Yeah, like a whole set of them. I mean, of course you can go classic with black and white. I like that too. But I just feel like this lends itself to a little bit of the fantasy realm when you add a little bit of color. But yes, I would love to see, if you're going to make one for Sophia, I'd love to see it. And thank you again for such a sweet and generous super chat. Really appreciate it. We're all discussing the pocket shawl. The pocket scarf? No, I think Amanda's, like, I think a pocket scarf is different. Pocket scarves have pockets, but they don't have sleeves. But I'm thinking of a shrug that looks like a scarf, but it's actually like just 2 sleeves that goes across your back, but doesn't actually have the rest of the sweater attached to it, but it doesn't wrap around your neck. So I'm looking forward to this picture. I hope Carmen can get a picture to me at the Etsy shop. I'd really like to see that. That is row 7. If you single crocheted around the post of every single stitch, you'll have 48 stitches, and you'll have a nice sort of formed base now. This becomes like a nice little flat formed base for your rest of your bag to be built on. It's going to sit nice and flat there for you. If you sort of skipped the whole post thing and you just single crocheted in each stitch all the way around, that's fine. It's just not going to have as much strength and form. It's going to sort of bloom, like flatten, flop a little bit. Not a big deal. If you're going to have it stuffed full of goodies, then it won't be a big deal. But this does give it a nice bit of structure and shape. Okay. Rows 8, 9, and 10. We are just going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Continuing, I'm going to keep my little stitch marker there. Single crochet in every single stitch all the way around. No increasing, no decreasing. We are still going to have 48 stitches. And you know what? If by the time you get up to the top you've got 47 or 49 or 50, or you're not exactly at 48 stitches, don't panic. It's not that gigantic a deal, but 48 stitches is the precise number you should aim for. So if you've got it, great. If for some reason you pick up a stitch or drop a stitch somewhere along the line, don't panic. This isn't one of those patterns that's going to like completely go to heck because you like accidentally messed up the stitch count. So don't worry about it. But single crochet in every single stitch all the way around for row 8, row 9, and row 10. We are still in the black part of the panda. So if this was a regular panda, I'd be using black, but this is a magical panda, so it's bright pink. And we're going to then fasten off at the end of row 10, and we're going to switch to white. The shrug scarf. So the shrug scarf, Elise is talking about the, yeah, so I'm wondering if is the sweater scarf actually a shrug? Is that sort of like, because the shrug isn't really a scarf. It doesn't wrap around your neck. It's just 2 sleeves. It's like the old, but a lot of people, they used to call them a bed jacket. Back in the 50s, it was considered a bed jacket. It was basically just sleeves that kind of sits around your back and kind of keeps you warm while you're sitting in bed reading. That's row 8, starting row 9. I'm going to get a couple stitches in and then mark that. Dee, hi from Newfoundland. Hello! The big island out in the sea. The rock. The original rock. Row 9 for me. I am zipping around. Don't know how long it's going to take us to make this today, but we're going to make the entire panda bag. So that includes all of his little facial features. So this might go a little longer than an hour. So if you're, happy to sit with the company, I'm really happy to have you here. But if you have to dip in and dip out, don't worry. Like I said, as soon as today's video is complete, I will be adding chapters. So if you come back and you're looking to see where row 8 was or where we left off at row 9 or something, then I'm going to have all of those chapters listed below. It takes me about 20 minutes to a half an hour after a tutorial is finished. When we're live, and then if you refresh, they should show. So that'll be later today. Once we complete today's live, I'll go back and add chapters. That was row 9. One more row, row 10 for me, and then I'm going to fasten off my bright pink, which is technically the black part of the panda, but I wanted a pink and white panda, and then we're going to switch to white. I just love this color. It is just so fabulous. It looks like it's got a life of its own. Manda Panda! Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, now you absolutely have to make one. I like these. I like little character drawstring bags for a billion reasons. I mean, if you have time and you're making them for like, you know, to be treat bags at a party, they are so awesome and unique. But if you only want to make one as a gift bag, it certainly elevates whatever it is you're giving the person because it's such a unique little gift bag. But for myself, I just like them and use them for little things like in my bigger purse, I'll have, say, you know, makeup supplies or something in one of these kicking around inside my purse, or I'll keep smaller craft stuff in it, like, you know, wooden beads or just something I don't have a specific place for yet. I'll keep them in these little character bags, and I'll have them sitting around on the shelf in the craft room, and I just love it because they're so cute. They're functional, they're cute, and I mean, you can, once you've used them for a little while, maybe you want to use it as a gift bag, like you can kind of keep passing it along, and then somebody else can either keep it or use it as a gift bag and pass it along. When you finish row 10, what I like to do is even things up with the where row 6, or I should say where row 7 became sort of started and stopped. If you did not do a post row, then you can just finish wherever you want, or you can come all the way back around to here. Because I have a natural seam here, this is where I'm going to end row 10. But if you didn't do the post row, you might want to bring your stitches, sort of single crochet into the next 7 or 8 stitches, just so that it lines up with where row 1 turns into row 2. It's just a thing I like to do. You don't have to, but I feel like it just sort of evens things up for us. But here we are so far. At the end of row 10, we are going to slip stitch into the next stitch, fasten off. You can weave in your tail, or you can work over top of it. I'm just going to work over top of it. Grab your white. We're switching to white. And there is a sweet super chat from Deanna. Hello, Deanna. Deanna says, would you consider making a sweater for Penny? You know what? You're like the 4th person to mention that in the last couple days. I have a photograph I will be sharing a little later on this week. I was experimenting with sweaters for Penny. So I've actually made her several little sweaters at this point. 2 of them are crochet, and I'm trying to get, I've been sort of looking at other designs, knit designs, sewing designs. The first thing I made her was a sewing piece, and I even have actual store-bought little coats and stuff for her, and I've basically been looking at all of these different versions of a coat, and I've been trying to figure out how to make one that A, fits her, because she's a dachshund and she has a long back. She's different than other dogs, but I wanted this little sort of sweater that I'm working on to be easily customizable for other dogs, whether they're a big dog or a little dog. So I'm still fussing with that, but I do have a design that I like. I'm just not completely done with it yet, but I'll be sharing a photograph of her in it a little later on this week, and I would love your input, all of you. So if you, once you see that picture, you know, comment what you would change or what you would modify or what you would add or take away, or just any ideas you think you might have, because I am working on a sweater that is easily modifiable, comfortable, and easy to get on them. That's another thing. It has to be easy to get on them. Okay. Thank you for the super chat there, Deanna. We're going to take our white yarn. We're going to add our white yarn into our project with joining a single crochet in the stitch just after, or either in the stitch where you fastened off, like you can go right under there. So you're not using the little knot. It's the sort of where you slip stitched. So you can join with a single crochet right in here. And when you come back around, you want to make sure that you're sticking to 48 stitches. So make sure that you skip the last, like you don't want to use the false stitch. So if you're joining right here in that stitch, which is right sort of where that knot is, then you don't want to use this stitch when you come back around to it. So join with a single crochet, and then single crochet. I'm going to single crochet over top all of my my little tails, single crochet in each stitch all the way around. And you should have 48, so make sure you count before you finish the row. Just count them up, make sure you've got 48. And if you've got what looks like one stitch left, that'll be the false stitch, so you're just going to skip it. And I'm going to make sure I haven't missed anything. We've got D. Dee sent a Jayda InStitches gifted membership. Thank you so much, Dee. Congratulations to Joanna. Joanna has won it. Thank you so much, Dee. What a sweet and generous thing to do. Congratulations to Joanna for winning it. Welcome back to the family. And Becky. Becky's been a member for 18 months. Becky's in the chat with a membership milestone. Thank you, Becky. Becky says, happy 2026, everyone. Welcome back, Jayda and Mr. InStitches. I am excited for this new year of crochet, and I'm also excited that we are starting the new year with a bag. 12 months of bags. I love bags too. You can never have too many of them. They're like baskets. You can never have too many bags because they make great little sort of gift accessories. They make useful and cute ways to sort of organize other little things around your house. The little drawstring sacks are also like just a cute little gift for little girls and boys. You know, boys like cute character things just as much as girls do. Just make them in the colors that they like the best. For example, I'm in a magical mood today, so my panda is bright pink and white. It's also kind of it's a little bit of an early nod to Valentine's Day. So if you're looking for something kind of unique to gift or use as a part of the gift, then a little panda drawstring bag in pink and white or red and white makes it super useful, super unique. Okay, so I want to make sure that I've got 48 stitches. You see I'm all the way back around and there's this little stitch right here, which I consider, that's the slip stitch. And that's going to be my false stitch. It's not the stitch that I would count normally, but it's where I slip stitch to join. So I want to make sure that I've got 48. Yep, that's 8. 48. So I want to skip that little false stitch. And if you don't like that it's going to leave a gap, you can do this. Pick up a loop in that last real stitch and then reach over. So skip your false stitch, but reach over to where you joined with a single crochet. Single crochet those two areas together. So it still counts as one stitch, but you've just sort of reached across that little divide. And then we're not joining with a slip stitch. We're going to continue to single crochet. So continue single crocheting in each stitch all the way around. I'm going to put my stitch marker in now, just so I know where that first stitch of row 12 is. So from row 12 to row 21, we're just single crocheting in every stitch all the way around in white now. So row 11, we joined white. We fastened off our panda color, whatever color you're using, at the end of row 10. Join white with a single crochet all the way around, 48 stitches. And now from 12 to 21, rows 12 to 21, single crochet in each stitch all the way around. And I'm going to use this as my indicator of where the start stop of the row is, but I can also just keep crocheting around and around and around and then even things up when I get to the end of row 21, and that'll be in a moment's time. I'm going to see if I can get into my crochet zone here. So every row from here on out has 48 stitches in it. You're not increasing, you're not decreasing. This is just the white part of our little quote-unquote panda body. And you can make it a little bit taller if you want. Let's say your stitches are a bit shorter than mine. You can make it a little bit, 1 or 2 rows less if you like if you're using a slightly bulkier yarn than me, or you're using a slightly bigger hook than me and you just feel like it's going to get to be a little too tall, then you can make it a few rows less. But I recommend aiming for row 21. So rows 12 to 21, 11 through 21 technically are all white. And then when you're getting up to 21, just kind of take a pause and look at it. You want to have enough room to put the little face on, so keep that in mind. Goodness me. Thank you so much, Marie. Marie has picked up the pattern. Pattern is on sneaky sale now in our Etsy shop. Thank you so much, Marie. And Cherry's in the house. Hey, Cherry. Cherry with a sweet super chat. Thank you so much, Cherry. Cherry says, good first Monday. Happy 2026. I agree. Happy 2026. Let's make it happy, you guys. It's on us. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it happy. We're gonna perk each other up. We're gonna be our fabulous, goofy selves. We're gonna make things that we like. We're gonna work at our own pace. We're not gonna look left and right and feel like we're falling behind or not doing enough or not doing it good enough or not competing properly. We're just ignoring all of those ridiculous mental aerobics that our brains do every year. This year is just to settle our heads. When we're crocheting, we're going to enjoy the time. We're not going to turn it into some kind of crazy race. And you know what? Maybe this is the year that you go into that closet of yours and you take a look at all those works in progresses that you've been ignoring. Pull them out and, you know, just decide if you want them or not. Is this something I really want to continue doing? Is this something I said I had to finish? Could I finish it right now? How much time is involved in this? Carmen has managed to get me a picture of the sweater scarf. Great. Thank you, Carmen. I will take a look at that a little later on. I am very curious to see what this is. All right, and here I go. You know what? I think I might just leave my little stitch marker out for now. I have this visual indicator, so I know where my rows start and stop, so I don't really need it as much. So I'm going to keep it out. That way I can crochet a little faster. Maeve's getting into Tunisian crochet this year. That's a fun one. I like Tunisian crochet. It's a real neat sort of like hybrid between knitting and crochet, or it feels like a hybrid between knitting and crochet. Shell's in the house. Hey, Shell. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad so many of you were able to join today. Dawn's wondering about the calendar blanket. Never give out clues before the actual day. Information on that coming soon. It's going to be our 11th year-long project, so stay tuned. This is going to be an interesting year. I really do want to stretch myself into some of the projects that I've been wanting to get to, in some cases since we started the channel. Mr. InStitches and I had huge ideas back when we started the channel, and in a lot of cases the platform didn't really, like, we couldn't really leverage the platform or the technology we had at the time to do the things we wanted to. So hopefully we can circle back to some of those ideas and put them into play this year. Some of the projects that I want to work on are a lot bigger and a little more time intensive for me. So I'm really looking forward to spending, you know, maybe we won't have, you know, a video every single Friday this year, because we are going to be making sure that we take our time to get some bigger projects put together. But we'll see. Like I said in last Friday's video, keep an eye on our community posts tab on our YouTube channel this year, because that's where we're going to be posting information and updates. And of course, all of our members' perks always land there first. So perk information always lands there for channel members. And if you're a subscriber, we have stuff there for you guys too. So we do use that community posts tab a lot, and we're going to be leaning on it pretty heavily this year, because we want to make sure that everybody is up to date with whatever's happening around the channel, since we're going to try some different things. It's year 13, so we're going to stretch our wings a little bit. Mr. InStitches, Sherry's asking after Mr. InStitches. He is on the couch babysitting our wee Penny, our little dog, who's slowly getting used to the fact that Mama goes and sits and talks to herself in her room for an hour or so a few times a week. And she can't come in here and pester me. If you're sitting, she wants to be on your lap. So we're slowly getting her used to, you know, not having full access to me 24 hours a day all the time. Once again, I am on the part of the Panda bag where rows 11 through 21 are just all straight single crochet around and around and around. No joining of rows, 48 stitches in each row, and we're just using single crochet. It's we joined the white on row 11, so if you want to pause every so often to make sure that you've, you know, done the set number of rows, or you want to know what your row count is, you know that the last row of Panda color, for me it's pink, was row 10, and then the first row of white is row 11. So for example, I am working on 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm working on row 16 right now, which means I have 5 rows left until I'm up near the top of the bag, but that is not the last row of the bag. So keep an eye on sizing. I do recommend the 21 rows because we do want to fit the face on. So we've got facial features, we've got ears. Feels good to be back with the hook in my hand. I did take quite a break from it during the holiday. I needed to give my wrists some time to recuperate. And to be perfectly honest, my eyesight really took a dive in 2025. So I've recently been to the eye doctor and I'm getting new lenses for a couple of pairs of glasses. So I'm looking forward to being able to see properly again. That'll be very nice. How can one increase the size of the panda bag or any animal bag? Asks Georgie. Great question. So this isn't a very, like most amigurumis, this is sort of follows a similar path. You can't like just double the stitches or because all of the little features are designed around the size of the bag. So the best way to upsize this would just be to use thicker weight yarn and a larger hook and not have to worry about changing stitch counts, because even though you can easily change the size of a bag like this, you just keep increasing until you have a base that you like, and then you go up until you have a size that you like. And of course you'd have to do more rows of the color and then in order to make the scale work. I don't know what that would be because I haven't tried changing it. But the trouble is that when you go to make the facial features, now you have to completely reconsider all the stitch counts and maybe even the stitch sizes in the facial features so that they work to scale on the new bag size that you've made. So I don't recommend trying to fiddle with the stitches, the stitch counts, because it's all the pieces are made to size, and they aren't just sort of a thing where you can automatically upsize it by adding a couple stitches or doubling it or anything like that. But you can always use a heavier weight yarn, hold a couple strands of yarn together if you don't have access to super thick yarn, use a bigger hook. That is always an option, and then you don't have to change anything to do with the pattern. You're just upsizing it naturally through the size of your yarn and the size of your hook. So that would be my recommendation. And since it's really easy nowadays to get like that super thick bulky weight yarn, I feel like the last time I was in Michael's, I felt like more than half of the yarn on offer was super bulky weight, like size 6 and beyond. So I think that's a really popular yarn still. So you can get it in any color. You can get it in velvety feeling stuff. You can get it in sort of that blanket yarn that's kind of a little more, I don't want to use the word sticky, but you know what I mean, like it's that polyester kind of sort of thick yarn. So yeah, there's a lot of different options for bulky weight yarn out there, and like I said, you can always just hold a few strands of regular yarn together if you don't have access to the bulky yarn. All right, I think I've just finished row 17. I'm going to pause and count. So I know that this was row 10. My first row of white is row 11. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I've just finished row 18. So I've got 3 more rows to go. When you're making little bags and baskets, it's the upper part that seems to take forever because you can just sort of zone out and crochet. You're just single crocheting in every stitch all the way around. There's no no like worrying about counting for increases or decreases or anything like that. There's no changing of stitch type. It's just like your typewriter's on auto mode or something. I also find once a bag gets to be about this size, the weight of it underneath me helps with my tension. If I can just hold it just above the table, the weight of it sort of dancing around underneath the hook, I don't have to struggle to kind of get decent tension with the yarn, because the weight of the little bag kind of does that for me. It sort of just rocks back and forth, and I don't have to work as hard to kind of keep a decent tension. So I like it at this point. So that was row 19, and we're going to keep going here. Single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Becky has just gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Becky. Congratulations to Bass. Congratulations. Welcome back to the family. And please be advised that I can only see your handle. I can't see your proper name in the chat. I don't know why YouTube has done that. It is absolutely foolish in my opinion. So like if you hear me calling out your call sign and you're thinking to yourself, why are you calling me by the call sign and not my name? It's because I can't actually see your name. I don't know. YouTube did that quite a while ago in the comments section. Very frustrating. So if you think it's weird that I'm calling you something else other than what you're used to be calling me, that's why. So my apologies. If you've got to pop out, no problem. Have a great day. Thank you for hanging out with us. And when you come back later on, I will have chapters available on the video. So if you need to hop ahead to a particular spot and pick up where you left off, you should be able to see that. And that usually takes me about 20 to 30 minutes after a live stream has finished. So that'll be in the works. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right, one more row. I'm on row 21. Here I go. Zipping around, and then we're going to do the little drawstring row. So the drawstring row is like a little bit taller than this one. Ooh, can you guys hear that? It is windy. It is blowing ice at the window. I am not going outside, possibly ever again. Bonk you guys. Georgie is the envy of us all. She's got a craft shed in the works. I would absolutely love to have a little she shed set up. That is definitely a life goal for me. I would love to have a little shed with a little pot-bellied stove that I can go in and get the stove all warmed up and make myself a cup of tea and get busy. Oh my gosh, it just sounds like a joy. All right, finishing off here. Alias 8924. Good morning from Arizona. A member for 74 months. Thank you. And please let me know what your real name is, because it's just it's so annoying that I can't see it. Thank you. Ms. Rabbit heard that. Very, very gusty here. Yeah, it's very gusty. Hi, Beverly. Hi, everybody. Okay, I've just finished row 21. So this is what it looks like so far. This is our little panda bag. The first few rows, the bottom and up to row 10 are all in your panda color. Typically this would be black, but I'm in a magical mood, so my panda is going to be bright pink and white. Then from row 11 up to 21, you're in white. We're going to do our drawstring row now. So to conclude row 21, I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch. Then I'm going to chain one. The chain one doesn't count as anything. It's just giving me a little bit of height. Into the same stitch that I slip stitched into, I'm going to half double crochet. half double crochet into the next stitch. And just so I know where my start is, I'm going to mark that first half double crochet. So I'm skipping the chain one. The chain one doesn't count as anything. Marking the first half double crochet of the row, chain one, skip a stitch, half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, chain one, skip one, half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, chain one, skip one, half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So that's the little pattern all the way around. This is why you want 48 stitches, because that little multiple of 3, which is what we're doing across the top, will work out perfectly. If, however, you are over 1, under 1, over 2, under 2, your stitch count didn't quite work out, you can just cheat it. So don't worry, it's not a make or break situation, but that's why you want to aim for 48 stitches and maintain the 48 stitches, because it'll make this little pattern around the top work out perfectly. Mandy says, Jayda, how do you look younger than when I first found you? Mandy, you are a doll. I definitely do not look younger, but thank you. I feel a little younger. My hair's a lot longer. I don't quite know how that happened, but it's all of you. You guys make me happy and keep me young. It is hanging out with, even digitally, hanging out with people of like mind who want to craft and just sort of spend time doing something enjoyable. I think it is good for the soul, and it definitely helps to keep you, quote, young. I had a lot of great aunts. My great-grandmother was the youngest of 9 sisters. That sounds like a whole story right there, but she was the youngest of 9 sisters, and every one of them knit and crocheted. And I remember sitting at the feet of a couple of them. So towards the end, they would sort of pair up, and they were all living, like a few of them were living together. And I was sitting at the feet of one of them, and she was knitting furiously, and she had great big gnarled knuckles. She had real arthritic hands. She was still working away there knitting. And I said something in my youth that probably was a little insulting. It might have been something to the effect of like, how do you do that with your hands like that? Or, you know, it was some kind of young, silly question. I was probably under the age of 10. And she laughed and she said, honey, if you don't use it, you lose it. And that literally lives in my head rent-free. If you don't use it, you lose it. So I keep at it. I keep crocheting, even though, you know, like I get swollen sometimes or the fingers get hurt. Okay, fine. I take a break. I let off the gas a little bit, right? Life is a race. Move at your own pace. But I don't stop. I do not stop. I keep going, but at a slower pace. To finish that row, 2 half double crochets, chain 1, skip your last stitch. Of course, you're skipping your false stitch. Join with a slip stitch to the top of the first half double crochet you made. There you go. You will have a nice sort of open work. That's your drawstring row. And that's it. You can fasten off and weave in your ends. So the bag part is done. And now it's time for all the fun. We're going to make all of the little odds and ends, the little facial features that go with it. So let's just weave in our tails here. I like to weave it in on the inside. And I'm going to go underneath some of these half double crochets. Don't pull too tight. I don't want to pull anything out of alignment. And then I always double back, and I'm going to try and do this a couple times. Mandy says, I love your stories. When you've got this many women in my family, you're never short on stories. All right, there we go. So there is our little bag. So the bottom part of your bag is the panda part, the little, sort of, this would be black. It's black on my original one. And then the upper part is all white. And this is largely where our face is going to go. So the back of my bag is where my little seam is. And that's going to be sort of towards the back. So I want to focus on the front, but we're going to skip to making all the little pieces now. So we want to make some ears. We want to make some eyes. We're going to start with the ears. The ears are kind of fun. So I'm going to put my little sack to the side. I might just, I'll just sit it there. Get your panda color. So for me, again, it's going to be this pink. Otherwise, it would be black if you were making kind of a traditional panda. And we're going to make 2 of each. So we're going to make, these are the ears. There's going to be a side 1 and a side 2. And we're going to make 2, obviously, identical because we've got 2 ears on our panda. We're going to start with a cinch circle. We're going to chain 2. Chain 2 does not count as a half double crochet. We're going to work 9 half double crochet into the circle. So the chain 2 just gets us up to the right height, doesn't count as a stitch. 9 half double crochet into the cinch circle. Oops, looks like I split my yarn. Don't want to do that. Hello, hello, hello. If you're just joining us, welcome. We're making a panda bag, a little drawstring panda sack for your personal amusement or for fun gift-giving options. And mine's pink and white because I'm feeling kind of magical today. So instead of a black and white panda, pink and white for me. This is the ear number 1. This is side 1. We made a cinch circle, chained 2. Chain 2 doesn't count as anything. It's just sort of a height getter. 9 half double crochet into the cinch circle, cinch it up nice and tight. We're not joining it. We're going to chain 1 and turn. So now we're going to work back the other way. Single crochet into the next 2 stitches, 2 single crochet into the next stitch. So kind of a reversal of some of our increase patterns. So skip your chain 1, single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. And we're going to repeat that. Single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, 2 single crochet into the next stitch, 2 single crochet into the next, or I should say single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, and then single crochet twice into the last stitch. And you've got a little piece that looks like this. It's going to be an ear shape. You should have 12 stitches all the way around. So let's double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 stitches all the way around. And then this is side 1, so you can fasten off and weave in your ends, or don't worry about it. You can just sort of stuff them up into the ear a little bit later on. If you like to weave your tails in to keep them out of your way, you can do that. That's side 1. Side 2, here we go. Pretty much exactly the same as side 1. We're going to make a cinch circle, chain 2, 9 half double crochet into the cinch circle over top of that little short tail. Oops. There we go. Excuse me. 9 half double crochet into the circle, cinch it up nice and tight, chain 1 and turn. Single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, 2 single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, 2 single crochet into the next stitch, and again, single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, 2 single crochet into the last stitch. You'll have 12 stitches, chain 1 and turn, and now you're going to put these 2 sides together. So I like this to be the inside, so you sort of see the difference. There's this is the outside, this is the inside. I'm going to put them insides together. We're going to create a little seam by single crocheting in each set of stitches around the curved edge. So you're not doing any increasing or anything. I feel like if I put these together, let me get my hook out of the way. I've chained 1. I'm holding both the first side and the second side together, and the inside of the ears are sort of pressed against each other, so the right sides are facing out. I'm going to slip my hook through that first stitch and through the stitch over here. You're skipping the chain 1 you did at the end of your last row of side 2. So you're only focusing on the 12 single crochet stitches. And just a single crochet through each set of stitches. No increasing, no decreasing. Try to make sure you don't miss any. Count if you have to in your head. You got 12 stitches to get through, 12 pairs of stitches. I always find this so satisfying when you're single crocheting through pairs of stitches to make a little, there we go. So that's your big ear. Fasten off and leave a tail for sewing. I would recommend like 30 centimeters or 12 inches or a little bit more. You probably won't need that much, but it's always nice to have a little extra sewing yarn than not enough. And I'm going to take all these tails and I'm just going to shove them up in here, right up into the middle of the ear. Does 2 things. 1, saves me from having to weave them in because I'm lazy, baby. And 2, it serves as a little bit of stuffing. It'll make that ear kind of pop out a little bit more. So that's our little ear. We're going to make a second one of those. Remember, there's 2 sides to it. So side 1, start with a cinch circle, chain 2, 9 half double crochet into the cinch circle over top of the short tail. There we go. That's 9 half double crochet, cinch it up nice and tight, chain 1 turn, and skip the chain 1, single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, 2 single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, 2 single crochet in the next stitch, and 1 more time, 2 single crochet, or I should say 1 into each of the next 2 stitches, 2 single crochet in the last stitch. That's side 1, so you can fasten off. And put that aside, and then repeat exactly for side 2. You're just not fastening off when you're done. 9 half double crochet, cinch it up nice and tight. Whoops. Chain 1 turn and single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, 2 single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in the next 2, 2 single crochet in the next, single crochet in the next 2, 2 single crochet in the last stitch. There we are. That's side 2, chain 1 turn. Put both your first side and your second side wrong sides together. Slip your hook through that first stitch of each side and single crochet through each matched pair of each of those 12 paired stitches all the way back across. We're talking about different colors for the pandas, different events. I love it. Like I said earlier, I would just love to see like one in every set of like red and white, orange and white, yellow and white, like all sitting on a little row. I feel like that would just look so delightful. Definitely, they're good for girls and boys, so just make them in their favorite colors, whatever their favorite colors happen to be. Who doesn't like a panda? There we go. Single crochet in each stitch, pair all the way across, leaving myself a nice long tail. That is ear number 2. Whoop. And I'm going to take all of those little loose ends and shove them up in here. They will stay in there and they're going to act as a little bit of stuffing. There are our little ears. I really like these. They're so cute. They're nice little round kind of, they look like, almost look a bit like a fortune cookie. It's so cute. And then I love that little seam that we give it because it gives it just a little bit more kind of definition. So there's our 2 ears. I'm going to put them aside. All right, what comes next? Let's make our eyes. So a panda, as you know, has sort of like these patches. So I've got little flat black buttons that I'm going to use for the actual eyeball, the pupil, so to speak. But then we want to make the little patch that they sit on. So again, with your black panda yarn, in my case, I'm using pink. We're going to make 2 patches. These are identical. I'm going to have a quick sip of my water. We've got different, oh yeah, and that reminds me, not only is today's written pattern available in our Etsy shop and it's on sale, it's our sneaky sale today, I've also put links to all of the character, the little critter bag tutorials that we have available on the channel. And that's not all of the drawstring sacks. We've got fruit drawstring sacks too. I just did all of the little characters. So we've got a bunny and a chick, which is great since we've got Easter coming up in a few short months. We've got a kitty, we've got a teddy bear, we've got a ghost if you want to get a head start on sort of Halloween stuff, and of course we're adding the panda today to it too. So all of those tutorials are linked in the description box down below if you want to check them out as well. Eyes, we're going to make 2 of these. So we're going to start with a slip knot, and we're going to chain 4. And here we go. Skip the first chain from the hook into the second chain from the hook. We're going to single crochet 3 times. So 3 single crochet into the second chain from the hook. Single crochet into the next chain. That brings us up to the first chain we made. Into that chain, we're going to work 6 double crochets. 6 double crochet into the last chain. Then we're working up the underside of the foundation row. So we're going to work a single crochet into the next stitch, which is sort of the next chain. I'm working over top of that little short tail, but you can leave yours out and weave it in later. And we're going to join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet we made. Altogether, that's 11 stitches. And it'll be like a little, like a little, I'm aging myself. It's the shape of a weeble wobble. So you've got like a little tiny, sort of like a slightly smaller curved area up here and a slightly larger curved area down there. 11 stitches all together. Fasten off, leave yourself enough tail for sewing. Again, I go with like 12 inches or 30 centimeters. We're going to do exactly that again because we want 2 eyes. You can just weave that tail, that little tail in on the back. Get it out of your way, and also cinch up any spaces that may have opened up. Trish asks, do we have a chicken drawstring bag? We have a chick drawstring bag, but not precisely a chicken, although I think we should have a chicken or a rooster. But yes, we have a chick. We have a little baby chick if you want to make that. Linked in the description box. Dawn says adorable pattern. Thank you so much. Okay. Dawn says, seeing in shades of blue with full of Hot Wheels for the or little Lego sets. Great idea. Love it. I mean, it's a panda. It's the thing that makes it remarkably a panda is its coloring and its eyes and its ears. So you know you're looking at like the essence of a panda, which is why you get to play with the color. It's kind of fun. All right, eye patch number 2. We're going to start with a slip knot on our hook, chain 4. Skip the first chain from the hook and work 3 single crochet into the second chain from the hook. Single crochet into the next chain. That brings you to the first one you made. 6 double crochet into that chain. Single crochet into the next chain or stitch. It's basically opposite that middle single crochet, and then slip stitch to join in the top of the first single crochet you made. That is your second weeble wobble shape. Leave enough tail for sewing. Weave the short tail in on the back, and if you've got any little spaces that opened up, just use it to cinch everything shut. So for example, if you've got like a little space over here, because of all the stitches you had to work into one chain, just take that little stitch or that little tail and just cinch it. So pull everything kind of tightly. It'll close up any of your little spots, and you'll have like this little weeble wobble shape. Okay, we are going to sew the beads or the buttons down to the narrow side right now, because we want to do the sewing before we put this on the actual bag. So I'm going to get 2 of my little buttons ready to go here. Got a membership milestone from Deanna. Deanna, member for 31 months. Thank you, Deanna. Says, old. No, I had Weebles as a kid in the 70s. There we go. Somebody there knows the reference. I have the, it's one of my, I still have it because it's like one of my favorite toys of all time. I think I got it at a garage sale when I was a little kid. It's the it's the Tarzan jungle tree house thing. It's got like a little mini hut attached to it, and like a little thing a little door opens in the trunk, and that's where like one of the Weeble Wobbles. So I've got like an ape, and I've got Tarzan, and I'm not even sure it's the whole set because, like I said, it came from a garage sale, but I still have it because I loved it so much. I never got rid of that. Weeble Wobbles. All right, I'm going to grab a needle. I'm going to thread up some thread here. I'm going to double up my thread so I don't have to do as many sewing stitches. There we go. Eyesight hasn't completely failed me yet. Gonna knot both ends together, and we want our eyes to kind of sit inside the smaller part. So I want the patch to show around the eye, because this is like the patch, the eye patch, and the eye. So these buttons are, I'm not even sure these say how big they are. 12 millimeters or half an inch. So these are 12 millimeter in diameter flat top buttons. Whenever I see these ones are from Walmart. Whenever I see these, I buy them. They're usually pretty affordable. Oh, they're also from HA Kid. How do you know that? They're like a few bucks, but I tend to use these as eyes for a lot of little projects. So I get a little card of them whenever I see them. I have them lying around, and I'm going to sew each of these. So I'm going to anchor my thread on the back of the eye patch, and whoops. Jessica Rabbit says she remembers the Weeble Wobbles in the 90s and the 2000s. I think they're probably a pretty popular little... They're easy to grab for a little hand, and they're just so cute and fun, the little characters they put in these things. And I like that they wobble around, Weeble Wobbles. So yeah, I'm happy to know that they're still out there being made. So I'm just sewing it now to the top, sort of the little narrow spot. And I'm going to go just every time I make sure that it's gone. I want to make sure it's going through the actual, like I'm getting through the actual button, the shank of the button. I want to make sure I'm not skipping it. And I'm going to do this like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. I don't have to do it very much because I doubled up my thread. There we go. So that's 4 times. That's nice and firm. Knot it on the back and repeat for the second one. And of course this isn't going to show because we're sewing this to the actual bag. So there's eye number 1. Yes, Dawn, you could totally use safety eyes. In fact, the pattern mentions that if you want to use safety eyes, you're more than welcome to. If you've got nice, pretty safety eyes, you can put them in the same place. So you want to put them through, so in the sort of the middle of the narrower spot, punch those through, put the little safety backer on, and then you can sew that whole unit to the bag a little later. Yes, safety eyes, totally an okay. Googly eyes. Got kids that like googly eyes. I know some kids like googly eyes. And remember, try not to get your sewing thread wrapped around your sewing yarn. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to give it 4 nice solid stitches. Yeah, so they match. And knot it on the back. Whenever you're done with your sewing needle and thread, make sure you put it back in its safe spot so that it doesn't wind up on the floor underfoot. That is a real painful find. Done with the needle and thread. Okay, so eye patches, ears, done. Now we want to make the snout. So we're going to start with we're going to put our eye patches and our ears to the side. Going to grab our white yarn now to make first the little snout. Dawn has different colored googly eyes. Yeah, so googly eyes, safety eyes, buttons, all is good. Anything goes here, as long as they're about the right size. Like I say, about 12 millimeter, which is 1.2 or 1.2 centimeters or 1/2 inch. All right, let's go with the snout. We're going to start with a cinch circle and our white yarn. Chain two. Chain 2 does not count as a stitch. It's just sort of getting us up to the right height. We're going to work 8 half double crochet into that cinch circle over top of that short tail. So that's 8 half double crochet worked into that cinch circle. Cinch it up nice and tight. Skip your chain 2. You're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of the first real half double crochet you made. I'm going to work over top of that short tail. Row 2, we're going to chain 2. Again, the chain 2 doesn't count. We're going to half double crochet in the same stitches joining. So we're still using the half double crochet stitch. We're going to work 2 single crochet into each stitch around, half double crochet into the false stitch, and then join with a slip stitch to the first half double crochet. So we're starting and ending with a half double crochet. So you're half double crochet in the same stitches joining, 2 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. This is just giving our snout a little bit of shaping. When you get around to the false stitch, which is just the slip stitch from the previous row, half double crochet into it and join with a slip stitch to the first half double crochet you made. So you're skipping your chain 2, you're finding the half double crochet stitch, there it is right there, join with a slip stitch. And that just gives your snout just a little bit of a shape. Fasten off, leave a long tail for sewing. Again, 30 centimeters, 12 inches. If you have any of that short tail left over, you can just sort of thread it up in your needle and weave it in across the back. Jessica Rabbit says, snout, snout, snout it all out. These are the things we can't do without. Come on, I'm crocheting with you, come on. Nice rendition of Shout. I would sing it, but I don't think anybody wants to hear that. All right. We are going to create the little, we're doing some embroidery. It's not super complicated or anything. We're going to use our, if you're using black for your panda color, black it is. If you're using pink like me, you want to use a nice length of pink, enough that you can do some really serious embroidery with it. So like, I don't know, a few feet, thread it up in your yarn needle. So you're going to hold your snout with the sewing yarn towards you. This is the bottom of your snout. You're going to take your sewing needle and you're going to bring it right through the very middle. That would have been the very tiny little cinch circle you made, right through the middle. You're going to leave a little bit of tail of your sort of embroidery to the back. This is going to let you knot things off, and you're going to hold that down here just to keep it out of the way. Now you've got 7 stitches up here. So you're going to sort of identify the top middle one, and then you've got 3 on either side. So 7 stitches. You're going to basically do nice big whip stitches in between each of these 7 stitches across the top and the middle. So you're making a giant, you're making a nose, but it's basically a big wide triangle. So here's the top middle, 1, 2, 3. So there's number 1 over here. And you're gonna go like bring your yarn all the way through it. Don't pull too tightly. You don't wanna like bend your snout out of shape. And then you're always gonna come back through that middle. And it's gonna get tight, but don't worry. And you're going to use up your yarn relatively quickly so that all that yanking of yarn will slowly become less and less. Do 2 or 3 between the middle and each of those 7 stitches. So I've done 2. You can always go back and add more. So I'm going to come back through the middle. And now I'm going to do 2 through the next stitch. Probably have a lot more sewing or embroidery yarn here than you need, but I always like to have more rather than less, just in case. Now, if you want it to be a little more, if you want it to be, like if you find that it's kind of on the thick side, that's good because you don't want any of your white snout to show through, but you can also like balance it out. So if I started at stitch number 1 and stitch number 2, I can count over, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and I can start over on stitch number 7 and do the same thing and work my way back towards the middle. And all that basically does is just sort of keep everything evened out. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's number 7. And then you can sort of worry about filling in your triangular nose evenly. And always make sure that you don't have your sort of your snout sewing yarn getting all tangled up in that. You want to just kind of keep pulling it out of the way. Oops. That's 2. I'm going to come back through the middle. Oops, I don't want to pull that too tight. There we go. And through the next one. And this can be pretty thick. Like you want the nose to be sort of 3-dimensional. You want it to kind of pop out a little bit. And if you end up with little gaps in between your stitches, don't worry, you can always go back in and add more long stitches, which is why I recommend you start with a longer sort of embroidery yarn, because you want to have enough that you can kind of go back and keep making it bigger and bigger and bigger. So just to be balanced, I'll go skip the middle one and do the third one on this side. Again, I'm going to keep my little sewing tail out of the way. As best I can. And 2 through this one. If any of you have ever made like teddy bears and you've done sort of like the embroidery of the nose, this will feel very familiar. You're basically just making a big triangle up top. And now I'm going to do 2 through the top middle stitch. There. Now you can keep doing it, going, you know, a couple here, a couple there, especially if you have thinner yarn than me. This yarn is kind of on the thick side. But one of the things you can also do is run stitches across the top. So you come out through the top here. Again, make sure you're coming from behind. And then between this one and the middle stitch, you can also make these shorter if you want, but just a couple of straight stitches across the side between these top stitches, and this just kind of covers up any gaps that might be up at the top. And then same thing from this side to the top middle stitch. Everybody's yarn is going to be a little bit different, so if your yarn's on the thicker side like this yarn, you might not have to do as many stitches. If your yarn's a little on the, like skinnier than mine, you might have to do a few more. There's no correct number of stitches. There we go. You're making yourself a little, now let's see, what would it look like if I did from here across the middle? So I've come in and I'm going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4 over to here. I'm just, at this point now, I'm just kind of like making it a little rounder up top, a little fatter up top. Yeah, this is kind of cute. Yeah, all right. I have a rounded 3-dimensional nose. So I'm going to bring my yarn back here. And we want to make a little mouth now. So you want to do like, it's kind of like a typical bear. You're going to do 2 more, again, and keep that little tail out of the way. Come back down through the middle. And this is like a little mouth. Vima! Hello, Vima! Happy New Year, Vima! Vima's in the house with a membership milestone. Vima's been a member for 62 months. Thank you, Vima. Vima says, hi, Jayda. So sorry I'm late. There's no such thing as late here. Only here. Happy New Year to you and to your family. Hope you had a wonderful year ahead. I wish us all a wonderful year ahead. Great sentiment, Vima. Thank you so much. Okay. Our little mouth, you can do just a little tiny triangle. So there's your bottom stitch. You can just go 1 to the left and 1 to the right. And by that, I mean you're doing a straight stitch from the middle at the bottom of the nose to the stitch just to the left or right of the middle bottom, and then you come up and you do it again going in the other direction. And again, try to keep that little tie knot out of the way. And there's that cute little sort of mouth. It's that little downward facing triangle. Then you can make a little knot back here, trim any excess. This pink yarn is just so pink. And that is your snout, your nose on your snout. So you don't have to weave in anything back here. Those are just going to get tucked in when we put it on the actual bag. Okay, final movement here. We're going to start assembly. So we're going to do the same kind of sewing techniques that you've seen me use before. You can sew all the way through to the middle, the inside of the bag if you want, but if you don't want your stitches showing through the inside, you're just going to use, when you're sewing, you're just going to run your needle under the top facing loop of a stitch on the bag like this, and that way it doesn't show through to the inside. So I'm going to use that technique. I want to make sure that my face is on the very front of my bag, so I'm going to look to the back, see where my seam is or whatever I want the very back middle to be, and I'm going to make sure that's at the back. We're going to start with the snout. So you want your snout to kind of sit in the middle towards the bottom. You want the bottom edge of the snout to basically just touch where the color change is on your bag. Thread up the tail left on the snout piece. If you have to, pin it into place. You want it to be as upright as possible. I mean, now if it's on a little bit of an angle, don't worry about it because that kind of gives him a little bit of a looks like he's sort of like twitching his nose at you, so that's cute. But you want it to be as upright as possible. And the bottom edge of your snout is right there at the edge of where the color change is. So I'm going to, again, I'm using the front facing loops of the bag and the edge loop, careful not to interrupt any of my embroidery, of the actual snout. I'm going to pause every so often to make sure it hasn't moved. And then I'm just going to slowly work my way around. Stitch of bag, stitch of snout. That sounds like something out of a fairy tale. Stitch of bag, stitch of snout. Sounds like I'm weaving a little potion together or something. And there's Marie with a membership milestone as well. Marie, who's been a member for 23 months. Thank you, Marie. Says, look forward to what all 2026 brings in the world of crochet. So do I. I'm looking forward to just a whole year of creativity. I hope all of you are too. I know, and one of the things I absolutely love about us all is that we are into a whole lot of different things. You know, we aren't just into crochet. Some of us are also into knitting, embroidery. Some of us are into looming. Some of us are into sewing. I'm really into sewing. Beading, diamond painting. I mean, it just, the list goes on and on. So if you love crafting, then, you know, embrace the year ahead. There's all this opportunity for new creative things, and it doesn't just have to be crochet. It can be a little bit of everything. I love that. I love that there's always something new coming down the tracks. I also get really excited whenever, like, you know, people who make craft products come out with something genuinely new. I'd like to get back into some of the crafting that I used to do as a teenager. Like, I really loved knotting bracelets with embroidery floss. I really loved friendly plastic. Boy, I miss doing friendly plastic stuff. There's a whole lot of like plastic that we called it GIMP, but I think it had like plastic rope or plastic. I'm not sure what some of the words are. Lanyard stuff. I love that. Anything that you can get crafty with. I just love it. So I'm looking forward to a year of getting crafty, making stuff for my little home, making stuff for me to wear, making stuff for Penny. I'm here for it, baby. I can't wait. So you single crochet, I should say you whip stitch or sew using the front facing loops of your bag all the way around and the edges of each of those single crochets from your little nose or your snout. And then, because it's the same color, you can bring it through to the back. Make a little knot back here on sort of one little loop of yarn, just like you would sort of finish off if you were crocheting, and then weave that tail in underneath some of the same colored stitches. So just weave it in the back here, back and forth a few times, trim any excess. It's not going anywhere. All the way across, and then turn around and come back. No, it's not plastic canvas. It's plastic rope, plastic string. We called it GIMP. It's GIMP. So I don't really know. I don't know it by any other name, but it's you basically you weave it into bracelets and stuff. I was obsessed with it in grade 4. That's how accurate I can be. It was grade 4. I was crazy about it. We would trade our bracelets that we made on the bus in the morning. Ah, the good old days. Okay. All right, so that's the little snout on. Vima with a very sweet and generous super chat. Thank you so much, Vima. Vima says, new year gift, little bit, but not much. Honestly, Vima, anything is just so greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. And here we go. We're going to put his little eyes on. So now he starts to really look like a panda. It's amazing how you add a couple of facial features and all of a sudden you have a little panda face staring at you. So you want to sew down your panda face just so that the eye and the eye patch kind of just hugs along the edge of your snout. Once again, if you have to, you can pin it into place, but I'm just going to sort of hold it in place as I sew. And you want to make sure you're using the top facing loops of the bag. So let me get at least one little, so the eye just sits just up and off to the side of the snout. I'm going to get the first stitch in here. There we go. And then I'm going to just keep making sure that it doesn't move on me as I sew all the way around. And the first few stitches, you kind of have to pay a little bit more attention to that. And then after a while, it's not going to move as much on you. Flat plastic rope that you kind of wove together. Yeah, Laura. It was, we called it GIMP. I have absolutely no idea. Plastic lanyard, plastic. I know they still sell it on Amazon. I've got a bunch on my wish list actually, but I forget the name that they gave it. Anne says, Happy New Year, Jayda. Happy New Year, Anne. Happy New Year. Okay, making sure that it just, I want those little eye patches to kind of just sort of just hug the edge of the snout. So that one there. And I'm just going to keep looking at it to make sure it's going in the direction I want it to. Okay. Venus says, love that pink. I know, me too. Isn't it just, don't you just want to drink it? It is just such a great color. I don't know if it carries through, probably not as well through the camera. It's too bad. So many colors don't really work through the camera all that well, but it is just so vibrant. It is, you know what? I've got it right here if anybody's interested in looking it up. It is Loops and Threads, soft classic acrylic neon pink. And boy, is it ever. Once you get the first eye patch on, the real trick is making sure that the second one looks even. Now I've got a little bit of a bump here, so I'm just going to kind of pull that in. And then I'm going to make a small knot at the side on the front, but it's going to be a tiny little knot. And then I'm going to weave this in underneath the eye because I don't really want this showing through on the inside of the bag. So I'm going to make this knot as tiny as I possibly can. Then I'm going to pull it underneath the eye. I googled it and it is actually called GIMP, among other things, says Laura. Laura, Thank you for pulling that up for me. I think I actually searched GIMP on Amazon when I was looking for craft supplies, and it came up, but it also, like you say, it has other names as well, probably because it just does have other names. I don't know what manufacturers would refer to it, but probably not. I don't even know why we called it GIMP. I mean, I guess that was how it was marketed back in the day. This would have been like the 80s. The 80s. All right, so I'm not going to weave that in too much. I know it's not going anywhere. I'm going to trim the excess. Oh. And now I'm going to get number 2 on, and I'm going to try and make it as balanced as possible. So this is the real trick, making the eyes balanced. So I'm going to put this in place. First, I'm going to look at it upside down because that actually helps me go, yeah, that looks balanced. And then I'm going to look at it right side up because that'll also tell me. Oh, he's so cute. He looks sad. Let's get that first stitch in. It's the all-important one. Okay, and work around the top here. That looks pretty balanced. Okay, so let's keep this going on the same angle all the way down the side here. One stitch at a time. There we go. Yep. I love a pink panda, says Mandy. Anne says he can be a cup cozy. He's a bit big for an average cup, but you know what? If you made him with a smaller hook and yarn, I think you could probably swing that. That is, he looks. I just love the sad little look on his face. Not that I want my panda to be sad. Maybe he's just concerned. Concerned panda. All right, one small little knot. I'm going to try and make this as tiny and as tight as I can. Then I swoop back under the eye and just weave it in underneath a handful of stitches. Because I don't think it's going to go anywhere. There we go. Okay, so there we go. Almost done. There's his snout and his eyes on, his little eye patches. Now we obviously want to add his ears because that is what's going to make him look like a little bear that he is. And let's get our needles ready. I need a sip of water here. All right, so we want to add our ears. Here's what we do. We're going to take our bag, we're going to flatten it so that our little face is staring up at us. This will give us sort of an evenness of where we want our ears to be evenly off the sides. And you can attach them so that each ear starts at the very top edge of the sack and then like is stitched down the edge of a half double crochet stitch and then ends somewhere down below. so that when the whole thing is cinched shut, the ears sort of sit on the top of the heads, if that makes any sense. So you can attach it right up here on the top. Don't interfere with your, like you can stitch it on, same thing, you're sort of stitching it to the front facing loops. So for example, I'm going to use the front facing loops of this half double crochet stitch up here. And then I'm going to go right from front to back. Just get that first stitch on. And now, unlike these guys, you're kind of doing this around the, you're going to come from back to front through the ear, back to front through the ear. So I'm going to go through a stitch directly beneath it down here. So again, picking up a loop of the stitch, I come from back to front, and then I'm going to go through the ear, all the way through the ear, and I'm going to attach the ear that way. So I keep flattening it, making sure it isn't moved. I want the ear to go pretty much straight up and down. I just move the ear out of the way. I look for the next sort of loop that's roughly in alignment, going in a straight line. And then I go right through the ear. So it doesn't have to be, it's not complicated. It's just, you know, take your time. You want it to be stitched down somewhat firmly. Move it out of the way. Make sure that you're still looking at it flat. Oh, I love this pink panda. It's a candy panda. Dawn says, oh my gosh, make longer ears and he could be a puppy. A puppy, absolutely. You know how puppies have sometimes like one patch? That would be so cute. Now, if you wanted to, because you weren't sure that it was on nice and snug, you could go all the way back up again. But if you feel like that's on pretty good and it looks like it's got a nice sort of snug fit to the edge of your sack, same thing, just make a little knot on the back side, weave the tail in a little bit, and you can also pull the tail to the inside of the ear, because remember the ear is two-sided. So I would do this. I would go through some of the stitches just to kind of weave it in a little bit so that that knot disappears. Maybe a few more over here. And then, why not? I'll just go all the way down the other side. Poke it right through into the middle. And if I have the patience for it, kind of get my needle in there and wiggle it back and forth until it disappears into the inside of the ear, or just trim it. You know what? I'm going to trim it. It's not going anywhere. There's ear number one. And now we want to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So again, you flatten it, make sure that, you know, it's even. And of course, you want your ears facing the same way. So if you stitch one from top to bottom, the other one is going to get stitched from bottom to top, because both they have the front facing ears facing. To have the ears both facing forward, one end is up here, one end is down there. So that's another way to know that you've got the right side facing. Trisha's really excited about a rooster version of this. I think we'll have to do like a rooster, a bird of some sort. Somebody had mentioned doing a turkey back, I think, in the fall, and I loved that idea too. The ideas never stop. I think we'll definitely do some more critter bags this year because I just love them. They make me happy. They are cute. They make great gifts. They put a smile on anybody's face. You got some friend who's kind of feeling a little bit down in the dumps. How are they not going to be happy or at least smile a bit if you hand them a pink panda full of candy? All right, let's get this on. I'm going to turn it sideways and I'm going to pick a spot where I want to start. That looks good right there. Same thing. You're going to go from front to back or back to front, whatever makes sense for you. And you're going to try and go in a nice straight line. I'm going to tuck that little. So there's one. You're basically doing kind of the reverse of what you did with the other side. The first few stitches might be a little bit like loose, so just keep pausing and making sure that it's in the right spot. And I want to make sure I'm going right through the ear. Make sure I'm getting the next one that's kind of, there we go, and right through the ear. Oh my gosh, the wind, the wind. I cannot express to you how happy I am to be inside today, crocheting with all of you and making something cute to boot. Deanna with a sweet little super chat. Thank you so much. Deanna says a pink peacock bag. Ooh, a peacock. I mean, of all the pretty birds, and there are many of them, how utterly fabulous is the peacock? Love that idea. Absolutely. Peacock. A piggy, a cow. You know what? I thought I had a pig bag. I think I started one. This is my sign to go back through my notes and check, as I think I have a pig bag. I do have a pig bag. I made a piggy bag, you guys. I made a piggy bag and I stuffed it somewhere. It's got a little snout. It's got a squirrely little tail. Holy cow. You guys just reminded me. It's going to be a fun year. It's going to be a year of whimsy. All right. I am all the way up to the top. And that looks like it's on there pretty good. So I'm going to make a little knot back here. So Ohio has some crazy wind today too. It is just, you know what? It's January. This is why we are blessed to have crochet in our lives, because we can shut ourselves up in the coziness of our little nook. However big or small that little nook is, grab a hook and some yarn and just get busy with our cozy selves. All right. The only thing left to do is get some ribbon and thread it through my little, now you can have your ribbon come out the front. When I've got a pretty little face, I often like to have the ribbon come out the back, but that's entirely up to you. So, I like to have at least enough that I have, it goes around and then there's enough to tie. So not too much, but not too little. I love this. I just love this. This is such a fun ribbon. Oh my gosh. Bright pink with purple, or with green polka dots. So I'm going to come from the back. So that means my ties will be out the back, but you can do it coming from the front if you want. And of course, you're just going to weave that drawstring through all of the little chain one spaces of the drawstring row. We'll open them back up now. I'm going to go or under my ear. Under my ear, I guess. I want my ear on the outside of my drawstring, so I'm going to just slip my ribbon under through a stitch that I used for sewing. And then back through that little spot. right there. This is a thicker ribbon than I normally use, but I just love the coloring of it so much. I thought, I'll make it work. So when you're using a thicker ribbon like this, when you get the whole thing through, you want to go back around and just sort of like fluff it up so that like you've got the right side of it facing outwards. It looks like she's got a little bit of ribbon kind of in her, running through her hair, I guess. I'm being nitpicky here. I'm bringing it like through a stitch underneath my ear, but you could just run it over the ear edge if you wanted, not a big deal. And then back through here. And there we go, out the other side. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure that I've got my ribbon all kind of fluffed up and facing forward. There we go. So wide open. That's what it looks like. Oh my goodness. She looks like she's wearing a little party ribbon in her hair. And then of course, if you close it up, let's put a few things inside here. A little pack of granny squares. I cut a nice big ribbon so I can make a nice luxurious bow, and then the bow will sit at the back of my little panda head. Just have temporarily forgotten how to tie a bow for some reason. There we go. She's so cute. Oh my goodness. And then, if you want, you could tie it into you know what? If my husband does this thing where he just holds both ribbons together and ties a knot, sometimes it looks a lot neater. There we go. Mr. InStitches engineering brain to the rescue. There we go. So she's all stitched up. I think I might, let's try her without anything in it. One of the reasons that I like the little bottom is that she'll sit up on her own whether you have anything in there or not. That's why I like the stiffness of the bottom. And she's ready to candy or beads or whatever you want to put in there. Yes. Bow tying. Not my forte, but yeah, you know what? That looks good. That also allows me to kind of keep the pretty part out. I'll tie it twice. There we go. Oh my gosh. All right. A pink panda, a candy panda. I feel like this sweet little thing would be extra sweet, full of candies or beads or whatever nice little gift you want to give to a friend or some kids or something. The panda obviously can be made in any colors. So written pattern is in our Etsy shop. If you'd like to help support the show and pick up the pattern, thank you so much if you do. And also it's on sneaky sale today because it is today's featured pattern. It's sitting up top in the shop, so if you do pop over and see it, it'll be up top there. For those of you who've picked up a copy of it, thank you so very much. Really appreciate the support of the show. I love how this looks in pink and white. Oh my gosh. I'm just going to take one last peek into the chat here to make sure I haven't missed any possible questions. I've definitely got more animal bags on the way. Anne was asking how the New Year's was. And her neighborhood was very noisy. Ours was pretty quiet. Our New Year's was nice and quiet. We didn't go out. We stayed in. I watched a bunch of fireworks displays on TV, which I think is really kind of neat. not something I could have done as a kid, so that was a lot of fun. But it was nice and quiet, and played some video games. Dawn's suggesting you make coasters and give them in the bag to somebody as a gift. Love that idea. Spector is wondering, hello Jayda, 2026, do you want to give any calendar blanket tutorial? Calendar blanket information will be coming soon. Stay tuned. We always usually release that in the middle of the month. So there we go. A sweet little character sack to start the year off. I love the whimsy of this. I just love little character bags. I mean, they're so darn cute. They're useful. I love cute things that are useful. I love anything that's useful, but like, especially if it's cute. So there we go. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. It was a long one today, but worthwhile. I'm going to go back in and add chapters now. So give me about 30 minutes or so to let the video finish processing after today's tutorial finishes, and I'll add chapters. So if you're coming back a little later on to kind of pick up where you left off, every row and each piece will have its own little chapter, so you can just sort of zip along, find the spot that you need. Links to the other character bags in this series are in the description box. So we've got several now. I've got other ideas thanks to the chat for, definitely should look at making a peacock or a rooster or a full chicken. We do have a chick, so if you want something for Easter, we've got a rabbit and a chick bag. We also have a plain teddy bear bag. Those are available too. They have tutorials. Like I said, links in description. And I do have a pig. I have a pig. I have to just find where I've put it. And we should do that one soon too. I mean, who doesn't like a cute little pig? All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week. We will see you Friday. Stay safe, stay cozy, keep that crispy winter at bay, and stay in and do a little crochet. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. We'll see you all soon. And yeah, if you've got pictures of anything that you make, send them to me at the Etsy shop, and I will also share them on the Posts tab. So Posts tab link is also in the description box down below. If you've never visited, that's where we post a lot more fun, and we'll keep posting stuff there. We're going to be using it a lot this year. All right, that's it from me, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. Ciao!